Hey, listen to Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and MP. As always, I'm Grady, and live on Skype we got Josh.
Hey.
This last weekend we had Extreme Rules. We have 6 matches. We already previewed them last week. Now it is time to look at their results. Let's just start first up. The opening match, it was the 6-man tag team match. It was the good old-fashioned Donnybrook match. It was the Brawling Brutes taking on Imperium.
Ooh, what a match that was. That was probably the best match of the night.
We knew it was going to be a banger.
Yeah.
I think we've sat around and we've talked about this combination of guys, and the matches they can put on, and, my opinion definitely hasn't changed. They put on a great one. These guys can put on any combination of them, a great match. I do kinda hope that they are going to be involved in the War Games match at Survivor Series, just so we get to see them beat the HE double hockey sticks out of each other again.
Yeah. It definitely doesn't feel like this is the end of the feud. I was mistaken on the fact of when the title match was. I thought it was next week. Nope, it was this last week.
Mm-hmm.
And our Intercontinental Champion had to resort to cheating to retain his title.
It's not a very sacred mat thing to do, Gunther.
Personally, I think maybe we do give them a couple months away from each other. We wouldn't have, and basically have Gunther be ducking Sheamus. Like, I've beaten you twice, I don't have to beat you again, regardless of the circumstances around the second defeat. And we get to WrestleMania, and Sheamus goes, all right, fine. I'll give you a reason to face me for the title. I'll put my amazing career on the line against you. And that's where Sheamus wins the title.
Okay. Yeah, I love Gunther, right? I was so hyped when the guy came up from NXT. I knew we were going to get amazing things, and we have. But man, my heart still rests with Sheamus. If you were to tell me that this was going to be Sheamus finally, reaching that pinnacle, completing all the belts he can get, ticking off all the boxes, I do feel like that's quite a great storyline, and we've built it really well with the Brutes, with Imperium, and yeah, I got to think that is the end game. I have to think that Sheamus eventually holding this Intercontinental Championship is going to be how it ends.
Yeah. I think that is the eventual ending, and I think it would be perfect a way to honor him by giving him the title at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be an amazing, and let me just say this: the crowd has been absolutely bonkers for Sheamus.
Yeah,
the last couple months, and I'm really happy about that because it shows that at the very least the fans respect the stuff that Sheamus has done. He's now 14-year veteran in WWE?
Yeah, I was just about to pull up when he made his WWE debut.
It was 2009.
Yep.
Early 2009. So he's going on 13 going on 14 years. And he won the WWE Championship in 6 months within his debut.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's just he's a really nice guy. And he's also a guy that you can depend on in getting a good match out of every single time he goes out there.
Yeah, I know some people, I guess, were sour on him from his initial debut, because as you said, he comes into the scene and he immediately picks up that WWE Championship. We had the King Sheamus stuff, which I thought was great. The Rumble win, beating Daniel Bryan in
18 seconds.
18 seconds.
That was what soured people on him.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything before that. It was that moment. But what people needed to realize was that moment needed to happen to eventually lead to the Daniel Bryan we got in 2011, 2012.
Yeah. And then I'd say League of Nations, probably a bit of a low light, especially, still coming off of everybody not particularly liking him. But then everything since then has just been bangers, whether it be the bar, whether it be him just hanging around in the mid-card, whether it be the Brawling Brutes. Sheamus has just had so many resurgences, really. And yeah, it feels like the Intercontinental Championship is that final way to cap it off. That last, jewel in the crown he's missing.
Yeah. And also, Rich Holland and Butch are becoming a phenomenal tag team to work together, too. I think we're getting a couple. I think this match here features 2 tag teams that will be factors heavily in the tag team division once if they decide to ever split the titles.
Yeah.
Because I think I could easily see both teams with the gold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens with them. Let's jump ahead. Let's stick with the British. We got Drew McIntyre, Karrion Kross. They had a strap match that ended with a little bit of an interference from Scarlett, kind of like we expected, but with Kross picking up the win.
You're going to have some people mad at you because you said let's stick with the British, and you went with the Scottish.
The British
match.
Islands, okay?
Okay.
The British Isles.
Yeah. I wasn't really. I was actually talking about the Scottish people being upset at you. Yeah, this was a good match. It was a shorter match. I wasn't expecting it to be that short, to be honest. But it did what it had to do. It did what they needed it to do.
Yeah, Kross gets pulled up the rankings into that higher tier, and Drew McIntyre is not really harmed at all by taking this loss.
Yeah.
The more confusing part around this one is just seeing, I guess, where everybody's headed after this. You know, like, at the moment, Roman Reigns obviously still dominating the main event scene. He's got his match against Logan Paul coming up. I don't see Reigns versus Kross happening anytime soon. I don't see Reigns versus McIntyre happening again anytime soon. And really that just leaves them floating around in that upper mid card.
Yeah. Which is why we really do need to split the world titles. Because these two, for a WWE Championship match, would be money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's been really cool seeing the Bloodline hold all the gold. But we do need multiple targets and championships for people to be aiming after. Especially now that our tag team division is being rebuilt to a point that it isn't complete and utter turd.
Yeah. I mean, we've got, as we've talked about in the previous match, we've got Imperium with Kaiser and Vinci, and Brawling Brutes with Holland and Butch. You have the turning Gallows and Anderson. You have Apple Academy. The names just keep going and going and going. You have Street Profits. We actually have a decent tag division right now.
Yeah, Viking Raiders, Judgment Day, Hit Row. I guess if you want to count them, Maximum Male Models, Legado del Fantasma just came up. Yeah. There's room for 2 titles.
There's room for 2 titles, or at the very least, a more diverse tag team division for the titles.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I do think we are starting to get to the end game of the Bloodline storyline. I just don't know what the first domino to fall will be.
Yeah. We will have to wait and see. Let's go SmackDown or Raw?
Let's get the pain over with. Let's go with SmackDown.
SmackDown Women's Championship match, and it was an Extreme Rules. Liv Morgan losing to Ronda Rousey. Ronda is back with the title, and Liv Morgan is having a breakdown backstage.
She had a breakdown in the ring.
That's true. She had multiple breakdowns.
She was enjoying passing out to the armbar.
Yeah, I don't really know what they're going to do with the Liv Morgan character after this one.
I think you almost certainly have to reboot her entirely here. Whether that's with certain rumors that we'll get to later, I'm sure.
If there's time.
Yeah. Or just take her off TV for a couple of months and just bring her back with a different character. I think they need to do something character-wise with her to change things up. Ronda's a fine champion. I have no issues with that. As I said, I wasn't going to be surprised if she retained, won the title there. I just hope that maybe the payoff is Ronda versus Shayna.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Ronda versus Shayna is still the money match. That's what we were talking about beforehand. I don't think it needed the title necessarily, but still, everybody's gonna be behind it and still love it, so...
And it might actually get the title onto Shayna Baszler.
Good luck. Good luck. And we still got time, so I'll throw in the Raw Women's Championship match while we're here. It was a ladder match. It was Bianca Belair versus Bayley. Despite the help of Damage Control, Bianca Belair still managing to retain.
I'm accusing Bianca Belair of having a corked braid. Did you see how overacting Bayley was when she got hit by her braid? It was like she just dropped.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember messaging, and maybe I was watching it like differently, or I was like not fully watching it. I remember messaging like, "Oh, this match is a little clunky," and then I like come back onto the internet afterwards, and everybody loved this match, and it was like their favorites of the night. And I was like, okay, maybe I was just in a bad mood when I was watching this one.
It was a good match. It wasn't the best match of the night. I still think that was the first match of the night. But it was a good match. It just, there was just a couple things that were seeming to be off with it a little bit. The fact that, as I said, Bianca whipped Bayley and Bayley acted like she got hit by a lead pipe or something.
Yeah.
The fact that Bianca won the match without any help, so she basically won a 3-on-1 match.
Yeah. Booked pretty strongly.
Yeah.
And then got punked out the next night on Raw against the same 3.
Yeah. So it's kind of, it was kind of what I expected. Just, it was a good match. Mm-hmm. That's all I can really say.
The question comes, obviously, what do you do with Belair from here? Because she's beaten Bayley, and I would say cleanly on her behalf. She's beaten Damage Control 3-on-1 practically. Whether we're going to have the War Games match at Survivor Series or not, etc. But I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's next for Bianca, but it definitely doesn't look like Bayley and Bianca are done with each other. Which I'm fine with, because technically a ladder match doesn't have to be an end of a feud. So we could maybe see it go on to the next pay-per-view that we're not talking about the name of, or see it extended to War Games.
Yeah, just biff it into War Games, Team Bianca versus Team Bayley, winning team gets the title. There you go, done skis. Book it, done it for you. Alright, well, we are roughly halfway through the show. We've got 2 matches left to talk about from Extreme Rules. The song that we're going to play for you might give away one of those matches, but hey, if you're listening to the show and you haven't seen the pay-per-view just yet, you got a little bit of time to quickly and rapidly watch it while we play you Matt Riddle's theme. And you're back to Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and NPR. Do you want to talk about the Fight Pit match, or do you want to talk about the real main event?
We'll talk about the I Quit match first, because there's a lot of stuff to unpack with the Fight Pit match.
Fair enough. Finn Balor, Edge, almost 30 minutes in an I Quit match. It involves Rey Mysterio, it involves all of Judgment Day, it involves Beth Phoenix, it involves a concerto, but ultimately Finn Balor standing tall.
It was a good match. I think it was a little long. And this is the first time when I've seen the threaten to do something and still to get the I Quit stipulation and still do it afterwards be done by a heel. Every time I've seen that beforehand, it was always the face that did it. Usually John Cena, of all people.
It's always John Cena.
Cena did it to JBL in his first title defense, when he threatened to throw a pipe through his head into his car, and got the I Quit, and then still tried to do it. And then there was the time when he was on top of the car in the I Quit match with Batista, threatened to FU him through the stage to get the I Quit. Batista quit, he still FU'd him through the stage. So, yeah, it's just like, if...
It makes a lot more sense for the heel to be doing it for sure. And I really liked the, like, storyline implication-y piece where, like, just before she does it, Rhea says, like, you taught us too well. And then nails it down on top of Beth's head. It really does feel like, you know, completing this storyline off of Edge took these misfits. He was trying to give them some direction, and then, you know, he got tossed out of the group. Finn Balor takes over the leadership, but they still have that ultimate opportunist edge to them. No pun intended. And it didn't... It bit Edge in the butt.
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting situation. I mean, the match went all over the arena. You had all kinds of different weapons being used. But yeah, it kind of was poetic that it was a concerto that ended the match. Hopefully that eventually leads to a straight up Beth versus Rhea match. But I think we would all enjoy that.
100% down.
But yeah, it makes sense with this stage in Edge's career that would be what would get him to say I quit.
Yeah.
Is to threaten his wife.
Alrighty. Well then, main event, fight pit match. Daniel Cormier is the special guest referee. It was Seth Rollins versus Matt Riddle, eventually ending 16 and a half minutes in as Matt Riddle forces Seth Rollins to tap out.
I really enjoyed the match. I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was funny when Seth curb stomped Matt Riddle on top of the little ledge they had above the cage, and Cormier was like, I can't count or anything because he's not in the pit.
Yeah, DC ain't climbing up that cage.
And so it wasn't. The rules is that you have to be in the pit to be knocked out. But that was pretty funny. I was honestly shocked that they put Riddle over in this match. I like Riddle. I think he's a phenomenal talent. Seth Rollins is somebody who can lose 100 matches in a row and still win the United States Championship the next match.
I was just about to say that. Yeah, our brand new United States champion.
Yeah. Thanks to an F5 from Brock Lesnar.
There's a lot you said to unpack with this, and you're right.
Yes. Yeah. Which means we're getting Brock Lesnar versus Lashley at the pay-per-view that shall not be named.
Yeah, we get that piece. And yeah, it's all over the place, man. I don't know what Matt Riddle is necessarily moving into. He's still poking at Roman Reigns. There's a shot there. As you said, Seth Rollins has captured the United States title. Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar is pretty much booked. There's a lot of stuff going on at the moment. Everything is full speed ahead. You know, some weeks we came to recording this show a couple months ago, and I was always a little worried that we were able to fill half an hour with, you know, what was happening on Raw and SmackDown. Now we're struggling to talk about everything. You know, topics will be missed out. We can't get to everything.
Yeah. It's definitely a blessing and a curse. But I think maybe I think the fact that the ending of the show didn't occur during the match, I think means more towards Matt Riddle's future than anything else that could have happened. I do think maybe Riddle's going to be visited by a certain person over the next few weeks as he gets tormented.
And it's not Dexter Lumis.
Yeah. Nope.
Wrong tormentor.
Yeah. I mean, because Riddle is his best friend with Randy Orton, who, set somebody's certain person on fire a few months back.
Yeah.
And I think they're back to get some revenge.
Yeah. So I guess I'll try and lay down all the facts that I have at the very least, right? So we have the ending of Extreme Rules, which is Bray Wyatt returning. We see all of the puppets from the Firefly Funhouse, IRL appearing and having this cool reveal moment of Bray Wyatt appearing in person. This is after weeks and weeks of QR codes, flash games, TikTok videos, and all of this other sort of cryptic stuff leading us to here. On Raw, simply says, I'm going to be on SmackDown, basically. And so we're yet to see what he does this week. But there's been rumors that Liv Morgan's breakdowns are going to lead to her joining Bray Wyatt. There's been talk of Wyatt 6, which is his Twitter name he's had for a while, being 6 members of this Wyatt stable or cult or whatever they're moving to. Seth Rollins has blacked out his Twitter account, but he does that from time to time, so that's kind of normal as well. There's been rumors that Bray Wyatt's brother Bo Dallas has been rehired. There is a lot of moving parts around Bray Wyatt, and it is the talk of the town right now.
Yeah. We all saw it coming. We all saw it being Bray. We all saw the return happening somewhere around the Matt Riddle and Seth Rollins match.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like the most logical decision. So yeah, I thought the return was really coolly done, though, to be fair, because you basically went through a progression of Bray's career.
Yeah,
with he's got the whole world in his hands, and then you have the different characters from the Firefly Funhouse showing up as lifelike people, and then you have somebody standing in as the Fiend, as well, and then you have a random head show up on the commentator's desk, which I believe was the mask he wore as the Burned Fiend.
Yeah, I think it was Burnt Fiend head.
And then you had a door on the stage get kicked in, and Bray comes out with this demonic-looking mask on, and takes it off. It goes, WWE Universe, I'm here, and blows out his lantern.
Yeah, we don't really 100% know what we're getting, or obviously it's, a week, or even, 3 or 4 days old at this point. And there's a lot of different things that we can be getting. There's a lot of different things that can be happening. All we know, the only true 100% fact is that Bray Wyatt is here.
Yeah. And that means that chaos is about to reign. Because when you have Bray Wyatt, you don't have sanity.
Yeah, it does mean some mystical stuff is gonna happen. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what comes out of it. Depending on what they end up doing, if Wyatt 6 does become a stable, be pretty keen. I do think Wyatt does work well when he's not in the ring every single week, and when he can avoid off and have these lackeys that sort of spread out as well, and spread his influence around. It lets him do multiple storylines. It lets him express a little bit of creative control here and there. And yeah, I feel like with The Fiend, one of the downsides was just having him near the title scene, and having him, wrestle all the time. And so, yeah, look forward to seeing what they're going to pull off. And I have no guesses at this point in what direction they're going to go. Maybe after SmackDown, we see a little bit, but it could be weeks or months before we truly know what his intentions are.
Yeah. Also, let's say it was a nice little touch that the Abigail actor was wearing the mask that Brody Lee wore when he was in the Bludgeon Brothers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was a few cool things like that. The door as well looked quite a lot similar to the door of when Brody was revealed to be in the Dark Order as well. A lot of cool homages there, and I expect Bray to, reference his fallen brother quite a lot in the stuff. I it's not going to be like completely forgotten for sure. There's a legacy there.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm interested. I don't know how interested I am in Bray returning, but I'm interested because it's just going to be something to talk about every week.
Yeah. We will see ultimately where it goes. Unfortunately, we don't have any time to talk about NXT. This week we are pretty much out of time. Next week anyway, they are going to cross over quite a bit. With Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez coming up to Raw and SmackDown and other such things. So we will talk about Halloween Havoc as that gets closer. We are all out of time this week. It's been great talking to you.
Bye, B.
You can visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/wrestling R&D up, or our Twitter page, twitter.com/wrestling R&D up, or our YouTube page, youtube.com/wrestling R&D up. And please join us next week for our 500th show. Big milestone. Don't know what we're going to do just yet, but 500 episodes next week.